Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy back in Florida to give you all my list of the top 10 best films of 2015. These were the films this year that just really stuck with me, really resonated with me, and that I thoroughly enjoyed for one reason or another. Now, something that I should have mentioned in my top 10 worst films list is that I didn't get to see and review every film that came out in 2015. There were some films that came out this year that I refused to watch because I knew they were going to be terrible pieces of shits and I didn't want to waste my time on them. But there were other films that came out this year that I really wanted to see, but for some reason or another didn't get a chance to watch or review, like Creed or The Reverend, so they won't be on this list. And I really want to watch both of them before I did my top 10 best of, because I had a feeling they were both gonna be on there. And had I watched them, I promise you, those two would have been on this list. But because I didn't, I can't put them on the list. I'm not gonna put movies or animes on my top 10 list that I haven't honestly seen or reviewed. And I also missed out at seeing some great indie films that came out this year, so they won't be on the list as well. So for all of you fans of indie films, I apologize profusely. I just didn't get to see them this year. And with all that said, I must remind you once again that this is my personal list of the best films that I saw in 2015. Some of you may agree with my choices, while a lot of you, and I know a lot of you, are going to disagree with my choices. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, that made it on the list, but you left out this film and that film? What the hell, man? Oh, unsubscribe, I hate you. As long as you hear me out and respect my choices, we'll get along just fine. And before we get to the list, I do have a couple honorable mentions, and they are as follows: Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, the Peanuts movie, The Martian, and Mad Max Fury Road. I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off about those last two choices. What the hell, they're not on the list? Oh, unsubscribe, this is the worst top 10 list I've ever seen in my life! Sorry to let you down, I know those two are going to be on everybody's top 10 list, but they're just not on mine. Anyway, let's get to the list. Assembling at the number 10 spot is Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, I know a lot of people were disappointed and let down by this sequel, feeling like it wasn't as good or as fun as the first film. But for me personally, I enjoyed this sequel just as much as I enjoyed the first one, and it gave me everything that I wanted to see in an Avengers sequel. It gave me some fun, exhilarating, and exciting action sequences, some hilarious moments, a compelling story, and great character interactions. I mean, just seeing Captain America talking with Thor, or talking with Iron Man, or seeing Black Widow and Hulk actually bond, that's exactly what I wanted to see. And hell, this sequel did one thing that I thought they could never pull off, and that's making Hawkeye an interesting, likable, deep, and badass character. I gotta give the film props for that. I never thought that would happen. Overall, I thought Age of Ultron was a solid follow-up. I had so much fun with the film. I've seen it countless times already, and I will see it countless times more. Singing in falsetto is my number 9 choice, Pitch Perfect 2, the dark horse of the list. I bet you all are pretty surprised by this choice, aren't you? You're probably sitting there wondering to yourself, really? Pitch Perfect 2? Really, Tony? You put Pitch Perfect 2 on your top 10 best films list, yet you left out Mad Max and The Martian? Please explain. I don't understand. Why did you pick Pitch Perfect 2 to be in your top 10 best films list? It's because of how memorably hilarious this film was. I was laughing constantly in this film, like just non-stop laughing. I thoroughly enjoyed all the acapella moments. The story this time around was far more compelling and less cliche than the first film, and I really loved most of the characters. They really made this film, particularly the new characters that were introduced in the film, like the Bella's arch rivals, this German group. They were really hilarious, but honestly the funniest additions to this film was Key and his assistant, his hipster assistant. Every scene with them, always gotta laugh, like laugh out loud hilarious. I wish we could just have like an entire movie dedicated to just their interactions. That's what makes Pitch Perfect 2 one of the best comedies I saw all year, and why it is in the number 9 spot, and I will not change that for anybody. Saluting the closing chapter to a franchise is my number 8 choice, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. A very fitting ending to a solid franchise. It gave us resolution with the story and with its characters, and had a lot of compelling and intense action sequences, especially this one scene that takes place in the sewer. holy crap. Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson shine as Katniss and Peeta, and their relationship is so fleshed out and dynamic, and I love the resolution they gave with these two characters. Again, I just really enjoyed the film, and as a fan of the Hunger Games, it's the exact ending I wanted to see. Beware of my number 7 choice, Crimson Peak. I was so surprised at how much I ended up loving this film, especially since I'm not a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro or his films. I find them, okay, they're not all that great, but when I saw this film, I was blown away. Everything about the film was excellent from beginning to end. The cinematography, the use of colors, the editing, the way that he used the iris effect, the acting, the writing, the direction, the set designs. Oh my god, the set designs. It is just a glorious film. And I still personally believe that if you are an aspiring filmmaker, you need to watch Crimson Peak. This is like filmmaking 101 right here. Fighting for redemption in the number 6 spot is Southpaw. Before there was Creed, there was Southpaw, and I didn't get a chance to review this film when it first came out back in the summer, but when I saw this film, just like Crimson Peak, I was blown away by how much I fell in love with this film. I mean, it is a simple redemption story about this boxer who was a bit of a hothead and always got into fights, and then some tragedy befell him, and now he must make his way back to the top. But something about it just really sucked me in. I really love the performance by Jake Gyllenhaal in this film. It is Oscar worthy. I know he probably won't get nominated, but it's one of the best performances I've ever seen him give. Now, I never saw Nightcrawler, so I don't know if it's at the same level, but this really convinced me that Jake Gyllenhaal is a great actor. And I love that the film focused on the relationship between this boxer and his daughter. That's where the heart of the film was. And I'm not gonna lie when I say that it actually had me tearing up in a couple scenes. There's this one scene where she is just like yelling at her dad in a very passionate way, and I'm just like, stop, movie, stop, please. It's too good. If you loved Creed, I definitely recommend that you go check out Southpaw. It is the most underrated film of the year and one of my personal favorites. Move a Little Strange, and my number 5 choice will give you a bullet. Not a warning, not a question, a bullet. And that's The Hateful Eight. God damn it, Tarantino, you have done it again. I knew for a fact that my list for the top 10 best films of 2015 would not be complete until I went to see Quentin Tarantino's new film, The Hateful Eight. And I'm so glad that I did. I saw it a few nights ago, and I loved it. Quentin Tarantino keeps getting better at writing sharp dialogue among characters and tension. This is probably the most tense film he has ever written. It's all about the tension. It's like a string being wound up so damn tight, you're just waiting for it to snap, and when it finally snaps, oh my god, it is a freaking bloodbath. Every single one of the performances in this film were stellar and on freaking point. Everybody delivered, including Channing Tatum, who really surprised me in this film. He fit really well in a Tarantino movie. I gotta give him some props there. And the cinematography is some of the best I've seen, not only this year, but in any of Quentin Tarantino's movies. Like, this is the best cinematography. I never thought that a snowy landscape could look so freaking beautiful. With some really intense and engaging dialogue and stellar performances, you're gonna be remembering Hateful Eight for a very, very long time. And speaking of a snowy landscape, we got my number 4 choice, Everest. As I stated in my review, this is the best disaster movie I have ever seen, because it did the one thing that I felt like all disaster films should do, but all of them fail to do, and that's focusing on the characters and how they're dealing with this terrible situation. All disaster films ever want to focus on are these grand shots of buildings crumbling or like big waves destroying, just massive destruction everywhere, but they fail to focus on the characters, the people that we're supposed to be attached to. This film understood that. It's about the characters, it's about their struggle. That's where the focus lies, that's where the drama is, and they do it in flying colors. With some solid performances, stunning visuals and cinematography, and intense and gripping moments, Everest really did an excellent job at capturing the intensity of climbing the tallest peak on Earth. Having a lot of mixed feelings is my number 3 choice, Inside Out, which was a much needed return to form for Pixar, and they really delivered with this film. Just like Pitch Perfect 2 before it, this film also had me laughing hysterically throughout the film. There's just so many memorable and funny moments, but it also has that heart that Pixar is legendary for. They just tug at your emotions and just make you tear up, and they handle it very well in the film. I also like how they explore the emotions of a prepubescent girl going through, changes in puberty and all that, moving to a new place. They handle it so well with some clever writing, great voice work, and fantastic animation. All I gotta say is, welcome back, Pixar. Just keep doing great films. That's all I'm asking. Keep doing great films. As I leave, believe I'm stomping, because my number 2 choice is coming straight out of Compton. Probably one of the few films this year that I saw multiple times in the movie theaters, and each time I saw it, it got better and better. I loved how they chronicled the start of NWA, their rise, their falls, all their good times, their bad times. It just was so engaging to watch. Coupled with the fact that there are some amazing performances in this film. The actors did a really good job at embodying these legendary rappers, including this one guy who I swear to God, he looked just like Tupac Shakur. In fact, I would not be surprised if that was actually Tupac playing himself in a film and trying to pass it off as him being somebody else. I see you, Tupac. I knew it. You're not dead after all. Straight Outta Compton, hands down, is one of the best biopics I have seen in a very long time, which lands it in the number 2 spot. And now, here we are at the number 1 spot. Now, this was a really tough choice for me to make. I really thought long and hard whether or not I wanted to put this film in the number 1 spot. But after a couple hours thinking about it, I was like, yeah, it most definitely deserves to be in the number 1 spot. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you fanboy, how dare you put it in the number 9 spot? This is such a biased list. Do keep in mind, I did say that this was my personal thoughts, my personal choices of the top 10 best films, and in my opinion, the best film I saw in 2015 is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This film delivered on all of its promises. It revamped the franchise in a very excellent and entertaining way. I loved all the characters. The action was compelling. The story was interesting. The acting was on point. The visuals looked amazing with a great mix of visual effects and practical effects. The movie had it all. J.J. Abrams had the world on his shoulders when he was chosen to direct the first Star Wars in over 10 years. Could you imagine the pressure that he was going through, the pressure to succeed, the pressure to meet expectations, to satisfy the fans who have been so dissatisfied with the prequels? This guy had so much on his plate, and he delivered an excellent Star Wars film. With all of that pressure, I have to give him some huge praise there. There's not much more I could add that my review did not already cover, so if you would like to see me go into more detail about this film, please click this link right here to go check out my review and understand why I chose Star Wars as the best film of 2015. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my list of the top 10 best films I saw in 2015. And I would love to know what you guys thought about my list. Did you agree with it? Did you disagree with it? I feel like more people are gonna pick the latter and not the former. And did you feel like I left any films out? Which I'm pretty sure I did. I left a lot of films out. And let me know, what is the best film that you saw in 2015? Comment below and let me know. Anyway, the sun is setting in the horizon. It's starting to get darker, so I gotta wrap this video up. Stay tuned tomorrow for my top 10 worst animes I saw in 2015, and then after that, my top 10 best animes that I saw in 2015. Those are going to be a hoot to make, and I have a live chat that will be coming out tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on younow.com. Be sure to check that out. Come join me for my end of the year celebration. And until then, guys, if you'd like to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Watt II, the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.